Assalamu alaikum. Alright guys, go ahead and take a seat. Inshallah we'll get started. We have Shaykh Chahin from ISNS, from Time, and inshallah, just like I said before, we'll have a Khutbah Workshop. We'll go over the essentials of Khutbah, the sunnahs, the recommendations, and the layout, inshallah.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Oh Allah, we ask you to bless our gathering, to teach us that which is beneficial for us, and to make us utilize and put to use that which we learn. إنه سميع قريب. Oh Allah, have peace and blessings upon our loved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and bless all of those Sahaba and teachers who passed the teaching to us. May Allah gather us always on matters and subjects and gathering that pleases Him in this life and with our Lord Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the hereafter. How is everyone doing? Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. I feel home. I haven't been on campus for a while, but it's bringing memories. I'm not that old, but I was a student here in 1990. And I was, alhamdulillah, active in the MSA, but Shaitan tempered into my mind like, MSA is taking too much time from you and from your study and school. Anyone can relate to that? So I first of all had to transfer to College of DuPage because the tuition was a lot cheaper for me as a foreign student. And I thought, wow, somebody told me, why are you taking your general here in UIC? So go there, finish, come back. When I went there, I became more involved at MSA. So I said, I'm not coming back to the city. Too much distraction. I cannot stay away from MSA. I'm gonna go to far away college. So I went to NIU. You know where is that? DeKalb. That's like an hour and a half west of here. Went in the middle of the way to Iowa, in the middle of cornfields. But there is a university there, and there is an MSA. And I found myself again president of the MSA and become the imam of the masjid there. And I found that I'm learning a lot from MSA. And I'm benefiting a lot from MSA. Because I'm learning how I can serve the deen. And when I serve the deen, I serve myself first and most. So I want to congratulate you because Allah picked you to be in the MSA. And Allah put it in your heart that you do not want to be just somebody who attend, but you are thinking about when you can do khutbah. And that's why we are here today to talk about khutbah and the sunnah of khutbah and the requirements of the khutbah on Friday. Because for a lot of people, maybe 90% of Muslims, that's the only time where they learn something during the week about Islam. And if you are well prepared, then inshallah, Allah will use you to deliver the dose of knowledge that they need. To go for a whole week. You might be the only source of knowledge for them for a while, till they decide to open a book or study, take an informal course. So if we go to the first, by the way, how much time have we?
Until 4 o'clock. Until 4:30.
Until 4 o'clock. So 45 minutes. Okay. Inshallah. So I put here some points about the fiqh of khutbah. Now, of course, a lot of people argue, is khutbah is a wajib, is a fard on us? What do you know about that? Okay. What did you hear about that? Is that a must? Or some people say, oh, you are in a non-Muslim society, you do not need to make khutbah, or you do not need to attend Friday. Because a lot of us, we have classes, right? And it's very difficult to, sometimes you have to take this class, and it's offered only whatever, or at a time that is very inconvenient. Should it be so easy for us to drop or to drop the khutbah or Friday from our life? Absolutely not. Friday, for somebody who is a resident, living, traveler is a different story. Somebody who is living, and this is his town, and his home is in the vicinity, then it's a fard on you to attend khutbah. Now, I know there are different rulings, different opinions about a person in a Muslim majority country and versus a non-Muslim majority country. Regardless, I'm giving you from the end. Treated like a fard, and the Prophet ﷺ says the one who missed 3 Fridays, consecutive Fridays, with no valid excuse, meaning you are not in hospital or in the forefront of a war, but you are in town and you can come to a masjid, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be like bari, or he will, that literally, if you want to translate it, it will take you out of religion. It's a very serious matter. So here the first point, that it's a fard on all resident male in safe health. How about female? They don't have to, but when you live in a non-Muslim society, it's maybe the only time for them to come. So please don't be prejudiced against sisters. If they come and they crowd the back of the room, don't say, oh, you don't have to do Friday anyway. Yes, they don't have to, but so many of them are also deprived from any other opportunity to learn. So when they come and they hear the khutbah, they are learning. So accommodate them, even if it's not fard unto them. It must be within the time of Zuhr. So you cannot, now what time is Zuhr starts nowadays? 11 something? 11:50 or something? Okay. So can you start the khutbah before, like 11:30? So the answer is khutbah you cannot. But if you want to do a bayan, some daras, and you make a trick because you have to finish the first khutbah by 12 o'clock, and Zuhr starts by 11:45, so you have 15 minutes, you cannot do adhan, khutbah, and prayer. So if you have to do a trick where you do a bayan before, but then you make the adhan right on time, let's say 11:45, whatever is the time, and then you do a very, very short khutbah, 5 minutes thing, since you did a good bayan before, you can do that trick, but you do not start adhan and khutbah till the Zuhr time has started. Minimum of 2 people required to be present for the khutbah, and 4 people required to be present for the prayer. You will see every madhab has a different opinion about this. You have from 2 or 3 people to 40 people minimum. So in this country, most scholars will agree that we go with what the jama'ah means. Jama'ah is identified in Arabic as 3 people. Once you are 3, you are a jama'ah. So if there is 2 people and the khatib, you are jama'ah. Okay? So now some will say, no, jama'ah has to be attendance. So if you want to be safe, 3 in sitting, listening, and the khatib, that's how the number 4 comes. Okay? So, but everyone says jama'ah is 3. So even if there is 2 and 1 to do the khutbah, total of 3, you are all good. Khutbah to proceed the prayer. 2 rak'ah are replaced with the normal Dhuhr prayer. So we know Dhuhr is 4 rak'ah. So when we say you have to attend khutbah, even if you come for the last part or the dua part, you attended part of the khutbah. And when you come later, you come only to prayer, some people or some scholar will tell you to repeat Zuhr after that, because you simply missed khutbah altogether. Okay? So those are just some fiqh issue. If we go to the next, we have what is the sunan of Jumu'ah. Now, sunan, of course we know, whenever it's sunnah, something the Prophet ﷺ did or practiced, that is the best way to do things. And you get hasanat by doing that. When you skip it, you will not violate the prayer. So the Prophet ﷺ, there is a narration, the narration says that he got to the minbar, made salam, and Bilal made the first adhan. So made salam, the Prophet made salam, and then the mu'adhin made first adhan. Then the Prophet made the khutbah. The other narration says that he made the adhan first, people prayed to sunnah or waited, then he got to the minbar. So there is two adhan. Perform ghusl, we all know that the etiquettes of Jumu'ah, to simply come in your best shape. Make an effort. I know for us, Monday through Friday is a weekday, right? And we treat it as such. But as a Muslim, it will be wonderful if you make a point to yourself first of all, and to everyone around you, that on Friday you dress a lot better than other days. If you don't take every day a shower, on Friday you definitely take a shower. Those are sunnah. You're gonna make hasanat. You're gonna make hasanat because you decide to take a shower on Friday and come fresh with a clean set of clothes to Friday, using miswak, cleaning brushing your teeth, etc. Wearing white, that would be nice if we wear white to UIC on Friday, right? I mean, you don't have to really, but those are, again, recommendations. Reciting Surah Al-Kahf, arriving early, highly recommended for the khatib to perform their sunnah. Prohibited to make any side talk. Of course, we all know, once the khatib is on the minbar, if somebody just said to somebody, if you tell somebody to be quiet, you yourself have ruined your Jumu'ah. You do not want to talk to anyone. It's not time to check your phone, you have to ignore all of that. Otherwise, you are taking chances to simply nullify your Friday prayer and the ajr, the thawab of Friday prayer. If we go to the next fiqh, so we understand there is two khutbahs. The first khutbah is the main one, and often the second one is shorter. And it makes sense to use the second khutbah to summarize or to make a closing on the khutbah. Because people after 10, 15 minutes, they start wandering around and you don't know what they are thinking about. Next test, next class, next assignment. So when you sit down and make istighfar between the first khutbah and the second, you kind of change the tone. You get up to start over again, and this is the time not to continue your khutbah, not to start a new khutbah, not to start a new subject, but simply to recap, or to, if you want to make sure that they remember something, this is the time to do it. Short khutbah in the second one. As we understand, you all know that the rest of the points here, to start with salam. When after you get up, you make adhan, you sit down. The mu'adhin will call the second adhan. When you start your khutbah, start with Alhamdulillah, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You must be standing. How about if the imam has a broken leg? Can he sit down? And you have no one else to do the khutbah. If you have no one else to do khutbah, yes. But it's recommended that you find somebody without a broken leg to do the khutbah. Okay, excuse that person. But if he is an imam who does not let anyone else do khutbah besides him, you cannot help it. Can you say my salah is invalid? No. Okay. Make Alhamdulillah first, salawat on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and remind yourself and everyone with the shahada. So you start always by affirming your belief. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah, and the call for taqwa, and make sure you include some Quran, even if it's one verse, at least a one verse of Quran in your khutbah. Sometimes you go to some khutbahs and it's a nice subject, but you feel like, did he bring it like from a speech class? Maybe he wanted to tell his class, what is it, 1 or 3, the English composition speech class. I mean, he doesn't have any Quran in it. He's talking about whatever it is, being conscious of God, but people need to hear the Quran. Now, how about the Quran when we bring it, since we are doing all English khutbah? Is that what you do? Is it all English, or you have some khutbah half? What is that? Oh, so you do first half in Arabic, and then you do or part in Arabic, and then he switched to English. When he switched to English, does he summarize what he said in Arabic, or simply he just keep going?
It's all in English. It just has the portion that the bayan itself is in English.
Oh, okay. So the Arabic is only the cliche that he starts with. Okay, is that cliche is a must? اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. اتقوا الله. All different verses about taqwa. Is that a must? It is recommended. The Prophet ﷺ used it, and the most famous is Khutbah al-Hajj, Khutbah al-Wada', and he used that sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is why most khatib would like to start by reminding people with taqwa. And when we talk about those cliches, we have to know that, again, this is a recommendation, but if you go straight into the bayan, nothing wrong with it. But whenever you quote Quran, please make sure you recite it in Arabic first, and then come with the English translation. Okay? Out of, first of all, respect and preserving the Quran. Quran came in Arabic. No matter how much you trust this translation, even if it's straightforward, clear meaning, there is no ambiguity about the translation, still make sure when it comes to Quran, quote the Arabic text first and then do the translation. It's recommended that you do the same thing when you do the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. But if you think that is taking a lot of time, Arabic, English, then at least the Quran, make sure you do that in Arabic first. Let's go to the next one. Recommended not to make khutbah much longer than salah. This is difficult one. This is a difficult one. And there is a narration about the Prophet ﷺ that the khutbah time is comparable to the salah time. So if you pray 7-10 minutes, your khutbah should not be more than 10-15 minutes. And no matter how important the subject is, no matter how good of a speaker you are, never ever try to make a khutbah more than 20-25 minutes. People are not there. Okay, you might think people are paying attention. They are not. They are looking at you, but they are not. The attention span is very short. For students, it's even more crucial that you guys start on time and finish on time. How you guys doing on that?
We start 12:05.
You start 12:05. And what time you make a comma?
1:25 is the latest we do
12:25. 12:25. Okay. So 20 minutes of khutbah and 5 minutes salah.
Supposedly, yeah.
Okay. So you finish everything by 12:10.
Okay.
So as you see, we have 20 minutes of khutbah and 5 minutes for salah. That is far from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, but you need to speak language that people do understand. He says he went to Universal School. I remember I did one crazy thing one time in Universal because some students were saying, "Oh, we don't need to learn Arabic so bad. I mean, we are all good. Everything is in English. Why those teachers emphasizing on Arabic so much, etc." You heard such an argument before. So, I was reading in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ that one day he got up to the Friday sermon and he recited Surah Qaf, the whole surah. He recited it and did not do any explanation and did not say anything. He did the surah, made dua, went down to prayer. So at that time they were doing all of these bans. What would Jesus do? And some Muslim students saying we should do similar. What would you do if Prophet Muhammad ﷺ come to your house? So I said, okay, I'm gonna give you a taste. What if Prophet Muhammad ﷺ come today and do the khutbah for us at the masjid? So I got up and I read Surah Qaf only, of course in Arabic only, and made the Qama and we start Salah. Some of the students like, well, I got nothing from this khutbah. Yeah, you think if the Prophet ﷺ come, he will try to do it for you in English? And he read the surah, and you understood nothing. So maybe that will be an incentive for you to be able to catch. If you ever hear a khutbah in Arabic, I'm not talking Quran only, that you get something. You get 10%, 20%, 50%. But if you got nothing, then I think, anyway, not too many people like that. That's what I was trying to make. But I did read Surah Qaf and came down, and I thought, if the Prophet ﷺ did it, let us just get a taste of what does that mean. Make a theme. Of course, if you do any public speaking class, they will teach you, give you good hints about this. Make a theme, and this is why it's crucial that you have some notes. No matter how strong of a speaker you are, don't fall into those big Maulana traps where he can get up and talk forever. Yeah, you will enjoy it, but he will miss important things he will not mention. After he finished the speech, oh, I did not tell him this ayah or this. He went too far right and left because he's not organized. So please, when you want to make khutbah, you either write your khutbah before or make sure you have all the important points highlighted, all of these verses that you are going to include. Then you can elaborate on it after that. follow the standard of your masjid. So you are here at MSA, follow the standard of MSA. They start 12:05. Don't say I have a big khutbah, let me start early. Or they will understand and the subject is so important, I will go 5 minutes over. English translation after we talk about this. Next line, please. What's your objective? And it's crucial that we clear our intention. You see, you go to any speech in the world, you have some benefits, or you will look good, or you will be influential, or you, or. But this, you do it only and only for the sake of Allah. This, you do it only and only to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the best thing I ever learned when I make khutbah is just before you get on the minbar, stop for a second. I don't care how well you are prepared. Say, Ya Rab, I need your help in delivering to the audience what they need. Put all of your preparation on the side and now ask Allah to make you say the right word. Sometime one word choice will bring something in his head or in his mind or bring something important in his life, etc. But if you fail to bring that right word, you just made a nice speech. Thank you. But when your goal is to help others, you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely to help you with that. And if Allah knows sincerity in you, He will not turn you down. He will not turn you down. Because those audience are very dear to Allah too. And their well-being and their knowledge is very important. So if you wanted to help them, Allah will help you. Next, we're giving khutbah, part 1. Praising Allah, salah on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the verses of taqwa, أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله وأحثكم على طاعته, etc. Verses from the Quran. The first sermon, just like every other speech, it has to have introduction, something to catch the attention of the audience. Always either you bring a relative verse of Quran or a short story or an incident or a phrase that you can catch their attention, then the body and the conclusion. And you finish your first khutbah with Astaghfirullah al-Azim li wa lakum wa li sa'iri muslimin fastaghfiruh. It's just another form of istighfar that the Prophet ﷺ used. Okay? And again, this is one of the sunnah that one of the cliché, when I call it, that khatibs will use. But if you don't know it, your khutbah is still valid, 100%. Okay? But it's recommended always to seek Allah's forgiveness at the end of the khutbah. Next slide, please. When we go to the second khutbah, after you sit down briefly, you stand up. To start the second khutbah, you start just like you started the first khutbah, praising Allah, always, praising Allah. And here, instead of making salawat on the Prophet right away, most of the khatib, they remind themselves and the audience with the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, verse in which he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ. Allah and His angels make salah on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ. Oh, you who believe, make salawat on Him. صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Make salah and salam unto Him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then you have this reaction from the audience making salah, because they just heard Allah's command to make salah on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. and finish by a dua. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, use this part here, the second sermon, which they put here for you as optional, is to recap. You see, every khutbah should have a body, and then at the end you have to give them some homework. Homework. Do you get homework from the khutbah? Do you get some khatib who give you homework? I believe if a khatib does not give you a homework, then he just entertained you. You are not there to entertain the audience, right? You want them to act on what you told them. And that is the homework. If you do not give them ideas how they can implement what you just talked about, then you simply did not do a good service for them. When a teacher gives you a subject and then he fails to make it relate to your daily life, you don't benefit from it. So when you teach them any subject, you have to give them a homework. Tell them, try to do this and this week. Try to implement those recommendations we talked about in this form, in that, etc., etc. So give them homework. So we said conclude with a dua. فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم. This is just one famous way to finish the second khutbah, to remind people that with remembering of Allah, Allah will remember you, and keep making shukr to Him. And then aqim as-salah, you start prayer. Let's go to the next slide. So khutbah tips, speaking clearly. Directly or from notes. Appearance. Make sure your appearance is accepted. I know you are students and you're coming from classes, you're going to classes afterwards. But I mean, don't come with shorts and try to put down and worry about your back showing or not. Come well dressed. And a thought like this will be very easy to keep hanging in next to the minbar. Anyone who wants to make khutbah, let him wear it very easy on the top of whatever you're wearing, no problem. So your jeans are tight or torn or whatever, people don't need to see that. Okay? Dress well. Where I come from, and the way I was raised, I used to wear a tie and a suit for every khutbah. And it's just like, I want to look my best, and this is how I look my best. This is where I come from. If I want to go to a wedding, I wear a tie and a suit. And I used to do this. But then, I got one brother who said, "Oh, brother, you are such a good khatib and you are such a great, etc., blah, 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 blah. But you wear a cross." I'm like, "What? I wear a cross? What is the cross? Astaghfirullah. What are you talking about?" He says, "Yeah, this is a cross. The tie represents a cross." I say, "Okay, Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much." I couldn't listen further to him. And I continued to wear a tie and a suit. After a few years, I got the same suggestion from another. You understand, most of those are older brothers, and they come from a specific background where they think this is a Christian uniform and this represents a cross. I never agreed to that. I tried to research that. I did not find anything credible to to suggest that yes, this is a cross, because I will never wear a cross, inshallah. Anything that would represent a cross also. It does. I do not want to make it longer. After a while, I felt there is always somebody every couple of years show up with this idea. I'm like, okay, this is so dear to me to be well dressed for khutbah. But if I can be a distraction for one person, I do not need to do that. So I gave up my tie. It was a very difficult decision. I gave up my tie during khutbah. I still wear tie for other events. But during khutbah, because I do not want to be a fitna, I don't care. I have 600 people, but one guy sitting there like, he got a cross. I'm not going to argue. He might not even share his thoughts with me. But if there are somebody out there who might think this way, save them the trouble. One person, he is wrong, it doesn't matter. He is right, he's smart, not so smart. He thinks this way, respect their thinking and take off anything that will distract them. Anything that will distract them. Sometimes I forget my kufi. I do khutbah. I know some people say, great khutbah, but he doesn't have a kufi. So I know it's a sunnah, it's a highly recommended, but my khutbah will be valid and my salah will be valid. But I don't do that. If I forgot my kufi, I go to any brother, he will not be offended. I say, thank you very much. I take his kufi, put it on. I don't want to distract anyone. Okay, my brother will understand I borrowed his kufi. You are in a position when you are a khatib, you want people to hear you, not to worry about your pants are too long against the sunnah. And I tried to grow my beard, but it just bothered me so much I did not come along. Because some people want your beard got to be at least handful or 5 hands long. Okay, and cover your belly button or not, the beard. But whenever you can accommodate within the norms, do it, please. Because you want people to benefit, not to just think about your kufi, missing kufi, or your so attain people attention. We talked about this, I guess. Dealing with crowd. And public speaking is not so easy. You need practice and you will get better with it. But when there's a lot of hints and advices in this, I advise you, because some of those people in the khutbah are your classmates or friends, etc. Do not look at anyone in the eyes. Like act like they are just an ocean of people, and you do not know any of them. Even some of them will give you a special smile. If you are new to public speaking, you will be irritated a lot with those smiles, okay? Because you don't want to even start thinking of somebody specific. You are making a khutbah of everyone in general, etc. So you do not want to look at anyone in the eyes, even if they try to get your attention. I want interruption. Any ideas or any thoughts? When I see smiling, something came to you, share with us what's on your mind. What?
This is what you talk about, friends staring at you. So.
Yeah, staring at you and I know you are here. So stop it.
It's distracting.
It is distracting. It is distracting. And when you start thinking about individuals, then you ruin your khutbah. Listen, when you are in a khutbah, you are on a mission. You are speaking what Allah say and what the Prophet ﷺ say. And you will not believe it, what Allah can deliver on your tongue. I remember one day in the youth center next to University, I was giving a dars, and after the dars, one of the youth comes say, Sheikh, if you talk to my dad and he told you so much about my life at home, you don't have to make it so public and make fdiha, ufdah me. Like you exposed me. You like, what you talking about? What I'm talking about? You know exactly what, because I was making a dars about parents' obedience and being good to your parents, etc. And whatever the examples, stupid examples we were giving, like your dad told you to take the garbage out and you did not, you threw it halfway, etc. And he was like, that's exactly what happened with me that last week. That's exactly what I did yesterday. And sometimes you give details that they feel, or individuals feel, that you are talking about them. Sometimes you say something, they say, you spoke this to me. And if you go and review the tape and listen to your khutbah again, sometimes you come with a weird sentence in the middle of a subject. You had no clue where did you bring it. But Allah made you say that one phrase, that one sentence, for somebody to listen to it, because that's all what he needs today. That's all what he needs. And when you see how people benefit from that one phrase, one sentence, and some people, their life change, crazy. And you think like, just because this, yes. Some people are just waiting for that one thing that will trigger the interest in them, or trigger something in them that would make them move, make them change, make them do something different. Dealing with crowds, so those are just some tips. If we go to the next Quran recitation, when you stand for salah, you don't have to read Qul Huwallahu Ahad all the time. I mean, you mentioned some verses in the khutbah. Those verses, recite them in your prayer, if you can. But it will make sense because they heard it in your khutbah. The subject now, you reinforce the same information in the verses that you are picking. Sometimes you have a lot of beautiful verses to mention, but your khutbah is very limited. So you pick 2, 3, and number 4 and 5, you read it in your salah. You see, this way you covered, for those who understand the Arabic and the Quran, they hear also verses that reinforce the subject you presented. Next one. Conclude with a summary. Give action plan. End your khutbah with a phrase or wisdom that people can retain easily and take with. We talked about giving them a homework. Homework is so important. If you talk about taqwa and you don't tell them how they can get taqwa, then you just, again, entertain them with some nice information. If you talk to them about sabr and you don't bring it down to everyday example, your sabr with your wife, your sabr with your children, your sabr with your parents, your sabr with your neighbors, your sabr, if you don't make it so lively where they can relate to it, and how they can deal with angry spouse, ignorant child, a non-Muslim co-worker, if you cannot make it come down to real life, then you are not benefiting them. And then give them advice how they can gain, how can they train themselves to do more sabr. Okay, you have short temper. Give me the recipe. How I can become a better person. How can I increase my sabr? You talk about the importance of reading Quran and memorizing Quran, understanding Quran, making word of the Quran every day. Give me real plan. Tell me, if you are not reading Quran except on Friday, I want you to make sure from now on, every day you will read 5 lines. But you forgot and you went to sleep, and once you put your head to the pillow, you're gonna, but I did not read my Quran today. You have to make it something you can remember at least the very last moment before you go to bed, or you are in bed. Now you gotta tell them, you need to get from your bed. I know it's very difficult. You are already late, and you have so much. Don't start tomorrow. No, get yourself out of bed and open the Quran and read 5 lines, even if it takes only 2 minutes, and then go to bed. But you did your word, this daily Quran recitation. Give them a plan. Make it 1 line, 2 lines, and in 2-3 weeks, expand it. Make it 5 lines. Make it a page every day. Make it a hizb every day, etc. Give them a plan how they can be people of the Quran better than where they are now. Without action plan, you're wasting their time. Next. Of course, you started your khutbah by saying, Ya Rab, I'm getting to the member of Rasulullah. This is not any member. This is the member of Rasulullah. He's the one who started the khutbah tradition on a Friday. And you are simply standing in his position, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He is not with us here. But those poor folks, they got you. And regardless who you are, who I am, but we are sinful, messed up people coming to tell people about Islam, and we lack it ourselves. We have so much problems ourselves. So some people say, don't reach what you cannot practice. What do you think about that? You agree with it? So don't tell people to lower their gaze if you're walking on campus like, wow, mashallah. Right? No. Preach even if you don't practice it. But you know what you're doing is wrong. Because when you preach, you're the first one who is hearing yourself. You're the first one who is hearing yourself. And you will be shy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I tell people to lower their gaze, and then I wonder, my gaze around like that. That is so stupid. That is so awful. I need to put myself in check. You will benefit. But don't wait till you become Mr. Perfect to reach to people and to make khutbah. Because you are waiting for something that might take a little bit longer than you imagine. You might never get there. You might never get there. But at the same time, respect that position. You cannot be a person who fools around and do kaba'ir, and at the same time you want to get up on the minbar and talk. Come on, come down. Okay, even if you are great in public speaking. Because people have eyes. If they hear from you something and then they see you doing something major, something haram, people will disrespect you and your message. And your message. You do not want to be a reason for somebody to say, I'm not going to go to this khutbah anymore. The guy who is preaching us, he himself is so messed up. You become a fitna for the Muslims. But you are trying your best. You are clear from the haram. Yeah, you are not doing your best. You are not so happy with your performance. You can still do khutbah. Wish for others to benefit, and you benefit from what you reminding people with. So you get up. This is a holy place to stand on the minbar of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you ask Allah for help before you get up, and then you ask Allah to forgive you when you come down. You ask Allah to forgive you. Maybe you wasted people's time. Maybe you did not deliver the information they need. and maybe you did not do your due work and proper effort to do the best advice for them. So you ask Allah to forgive you for any shortcoming and to accept from you whatever efforts you did. And with that, I ask Allah to forgive me for whatever shortcoming I did for you, and I hope I did not waste your time. But I wanted this short presentation to clarify a few points. Nothing serious really about Friday. You already go to Friday since you are 5 years old, and you have witnessed it so many, maybe hundreds of times, to the point that you know exactly the process. But I wanted to highlight some points and then see if you have any questions, maybe we can help clarify no matter some problem.
Love Q&A now.
Okay.